Brian Riley in a group with Joe Michelle and Sean Wanke. Let's talk about the 1970s. Alright, so August 12th, one day shy of my birthday, in 1970, for the first time, the U.S. Postal Service was made an independent kind of company or organization of the United States of America. And then on March 10th, in 1971, the 26th Amendment was passed. Now, the 26th Amendment lowered voting age from what it was previously, which was 21, and it made it to 18. This was probably a result of the war and a lot of protest music at the time. And then, kind of a social fact here, or cultural, on October 1st, 71, Walt Disney World opens. And from the previous decades, as you saw in the previous presentations, there were some great Disney movies that came out at the time. Let's go to 1972, alright? So, Nixon makes peace and trade negotiations with Mao Zedong, who is the communist leader of China. And these diplomatic maneuvers between the U.S. and China would eventually lead to the end of the Vietnam War, which would be done in Nixon's presidency, even though him and Kissinger may have had some hidden future plans that we don't know about. Continuing Nixon's foreign policy, he visited Moscow, Russia, the same year, and negotiated an arms pact with the Soviets called SALT I. Now, this arms pact, you may not think it's important, but I'll tell you, you're wrong. It is important. Why is it important? I'll tell you. SALT I actually kind of eased the Cold War sentiment at the time and kind of mended the bitterness that was existing between the two nations. And then on June 17th, 1972, we see the beginnings of Watergate, where 4 men are arrested for breaking into the Democratic headquarters at the Watergate Hotel. And this would begin the debacle that would eventually lead to Nixon's resignation in 1974. 74. Okay, let's go to June 9th of the following year, 1973, for a kind of sporting kind of event here. So on June 9th, 1973, Secretariat won the Belmont Stakes because she previously won the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby. And this is sports racing. If you don't know that, I hope you do. And she won the Triple Crown, which is a very big feat. Let's look this Saturday for California Chrome to take the Belmont Stakes and win the Triple Crown. The jockey, I believe, is Victor Espinoza. Yeah, great little jockey. Only stands about 5'7", maybe 5'8", maybe 5'6", excuse me. But he's really quick on the horse. I'd expect him to do it with California this weekend. Hope you guys watch. Alright, let's move on. In October of 1973, that same year, we have the Arab oil embargo. And this dealt with Arab oil-producing nations not delivering oil to the United States because of the Yom Kippur War and the start of the Arab-Israeli War in 73. And this would lead to the energy crisis, which would kind of taint Nixon's presidency. So then, subsequently, we have Nixon's resignation in 1974 on August 9th, 4 days shy of my birthday. And this kind of allowed him to avoid the impeachment process. But that's all kind of depressing, so let's go to January 6th, 1975. Wheel of Fortune premieres. Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Gotta love them. Alright, guys. We're still about midway in the 70s here. Let's go to April of 75. Communist forces complete their takeover of Saigon in South Vietnam. And this would lead to the unconditional surrender of South Vietnam, since we were no longer aiding the Vietnamese. If you ever listen to that Billy Joel song, Goodnight Saigon, kind of rings true. Let's go to July 20th, 1976 for a kind of scientific and technological feat of the 70s. The Viking 1 space probe by the Americans lands on Mars. And what it does is it sends back the first color photos of the Martian surface. It's kind of important. So then in November of 1976, Microsoft finally becomes a registered company with, I'm sure you guys all know, Bill Gates and Paul Allen. And that was very big at the time. In the same year, also, Jimmy Carter, if I didn't tell you, is now president, and Vietnam evaders are pardoned by Carter. Let's go to August 4th, 1977. That's 9 days shy of my birthday. The cabinet level of the Energy Department is created by Jimmy Carter. The Energy Department would be very important, not only in his presidency, but the coming presidencies all the way up to Obama, like we're at now. Continuing on, in September 21st of 1977, a very important pact was created. It was called the Nuclear Proliferation Pact, which was signed by 15 nations, including the U.S. and the Soviet Union, which would slow the spread of nuclear weapons around the globe. All right, in September then of '78, September 17th, the Camp David peace agreement between Israel and Egypt would be formulated at the retreat of the president. Now, Camp David, we learned about in this class. That's by Ike. Look into that. Jimmy Carter witnessed the signing of the pact by Israeli Prime Minister Rambin and Egyptian President Anwar Sadat at the White House. Kind of coming into closing here, March 28, 79, an accident at the 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania would be the largest nuclear power plant explosion or kind of fault trip-up in U.S. history. Kind of only would be outdone in Chernobyl 7 years' time following that. Also 79, in September, the American Pioneer passes the planet Saturn, becoming the first spacecraft to visit the ring planet at a distance of about 2,100 kilometers. Now, if you can't kind of comprehend how important this is, we were never this far in space. Being there that far, that's big. Alright, finally, on November 4th of 1979, the Iran hostage crisis would begin when 63 Americans, among 90 hostages, were taken hostage at the American embassy in Tehran by 3,000 militant students who demanded that the former Shah return to Iran to stand trial. Now, that was the basic timeline of the 1970s. We're going to throw on a little skit for you now and kind of get into the social aspects, cultural, of the time. Hope you guys enjoyed the little presentation I had here. See you guys later.